Hey, welcome back to the Distraction Eliminator. This is Jordan, and we made it. We made it. You did it. Oh, almost, that is. You made it to Module 3, the last module in the Distraction Eliminator. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I'm so stoked. You may have noticed I'm wearing the same things I was in the last video. In the world of online courses, we call that filming on the same day. Well, welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing that last piece in the Distraction Eliminator. Remember, we had tech pacing, we had urgency metrics, super important, urgent in your life, and then we had this last piece. We have this last piece of the Distraction Eliminator, high level flow. Now, we can call it flow for short, and the way that I remember all three of these is through the acronym TOUGH. Get tough. Tech pacing, urgency metrics, and flow. So get tough on distraction, get tough on your life, and eliminate it once and for all with this last step to get you over that hurdle. Once I got high level flow into my life, boy, everything changed because I realized where my attention was going. I realized what was sabotaging myself, besides all the other things that I've used to audit myself, audit my life, and get things in order. But once I realized what it felt like to be in flow, I completely understood what was pulling me out of it. And I want to be more in flow each day. I go for an hour walk every morning, meditating, doing meditating thoughts, and practicing my walking meditation. Then I'll go straight into 20 minutes of sitting meditation. I might even sit there for 40 minutes depending on my activity. I know you're looking at me saying, Jesus Christ, Jordan, sorry if I'm offending any Christians. Really don't mean that. You might be looking at my life saying, holy goodness, this man meditates a lot, but that's because I value the utmost crap out of this stuff. I really do put this at high level priority. That's why we call it high level flow, just so that you understand where to rank order this thing in your life. If you are a creative type, again, the entrepreneurial type, the service-based industry worker or owner, you're gonna need to get into that flow. I did 7 years of massage. And let me tell you, the only reason that I can do that work blindfolded is because I know how to navigate a body, a human body, arms, legs, tails, like the back of my hand, because I've practiced it. I've done it a million times. And it's just like you'd get into the car, you know where the ignition is, you know how to click your seatbelt in. It's just automatic. And of course, we talk about all those automaticities, that autopilot nature of life in the course beyond this, the subconscious upgrade. So if you're ready to go beyond this, not just eliminating distraction, but upgrading the whole system itself, the whole being that you are, I recommend taking that next step in the subconscious upgrade. Now, what is high level flow itself? What is high level flow? Put simply, high level flow is the skill to immerse yourself full throttle. Like those, what are those movies? The Fast and the Furious, full throttle. In laser focused activity, laser focused life. It means taking the wide lens of life and narrowing it. Being, doubling down, committing to laser focused activity. So the reason that you want to do this, we'll get to this in just a second, but specifically, remember back to that first lesson when we talked about that 4 hours of attention that you have, that those social media companies have been robbing from you, that people and technology and all these activities and things are vying for the market share that is your mind, your time, your energy, and your life. Whew. You get 4 hours of it. But the thing about that 4 hours is it's not just any 4 hours. It is a special 4 hours. 4 hours that, one, it takes 15 to 30 minutes just to get into the groove, baby. Just to get into the jiggy of it. But then, not only does it take that, one, it takes 15 to 30 minutes to activate, but two, if you get into that flow, you're working, you're doing your thing, 15 to 30 minutes from 4 hours. So let's subtract that now. that means you have anywhere from 3 hours and 30 minutes to 3 hours and 45 minutes. That means you've now depleted time. So what happens if something bleep distracts you? You're like my mom and you hear, you know an email just came in, even though you were getting into your work, you're starting to write, you're starting to get ready and do all these things, and then all of a sudden, you didn't tech pace, you didn't set up what was important to your life, knowing that you do emails later, and now your phone's going off. That 15 to 30 minutes that it took to get into high level flow, gone. Now it's gone. You've lost that time, and now the danger is you've got less time and you've got to get back into flow, because it's not as simple as, oh, distraction, go back to work. No, it's I'm in flow, I'm in this state of mind, this state of being that is moving, that is grooving and jiving, and you get stuck, you get knocked off your groove. And now, you've got an email, you know you're not going to answer it, you know you don't care about it, but you noticed it, your attention, it was moving, narrow, and then it just, once it veers off track, you lose that time. That's it. You don't get that back. Now, we'll talk about recovering little bits of it, but right now you don't get that back. And you've got to start over, and now you've got to start with a deficit. Not only do you have to start with a deficit, but here's the third crux of it, is that you now have to take longer than 15 to 30 minutes to get into it. So say it took you 16 minutes to get into it the first time. Now it might take you 25 minutes to get in. It might take you longer than 30 to get in. And if you're anything like me, when I started writing my book, back in 2016, I found myself really struggling to get back into it. Because once I got knocked off the horse, that was a hard horse to get back on. And in your life, when you start having these distractions pour in, you're taking care of your children and all of a sudden someone rings the doorbell. You're in the middle of rehearsing your new play or your new role in whatever it is, and you're getting text messages and calls left and right. No one wants to leave you alone. Because you have this limited bandwidth, because you have a limited amount of conscious energy and attention that's now been siphoned away, now you have to take longer to get into it. And now what? Say it takes another 30 minutes. Now you're down to 3 hours. That means 3 hours that'll be divided up probably along the continuum of anywhere from 6 to 8 hours. So you have to start looking at your life, really doubling down on what it is that you love to do, what it is you need to do, what it is that must be done in your life, and protect it at all cost. Because you're either practicing distraction or you're practicing focus. Again, you're either practicing what? Distraction or focus. So, and you might want to write this down if you haven't been writing all the other beautiful information that you've been getting. You have wirings in your brain. They're called neurons, and you have wirings in your bodies. They're called nerve tracts. And these neurons are either wired for distraction or they're wired for focus. And if you are like the rest of this country, unfortunately, or maybe you're sitting in England, if you're like the rest of the world, let's say, then you're unfortunately wired for distraction. But hell, you've come to this course, you've sat through these lessons, you're at this level now, a high level, where you're starting to get the picture, if not already understanding completely and fully, that it's time, and you know I love saying that, the time is now, baby, it's time to start practicing focus. Because that's what you do. What you do is you practice, you rinse, and you repeat. This is just like shampoo. You know how to do it. You know how to get into the groove of it. You've got to practice focus. and say to yourself once and for all, no more distractions, and understand, yes, there's a time to engage, a time to really get deep into this, and there's a time to step away from it because of that 4-hour bandwidth. Now here's some extras for you to think about. Not only do you have this 4-hour bandwidth, but your short-term working memory can hold about anywhere from 5 to 9 items at a time. Meaning, if I give you a number list of about 10 to 11 things, you might be able to remember anywhere from 5 to 9 of them. You might be one of these super memory whizzes, but because your memory also is limited to what it can hold, you want to think about chunking information so that it can hold even more bits. And you want to keep that structured in that 4-hour time frame so that when you're working with information, you're working in your bandwidth and respecting the natural limitations of the human body, human mind, and spirit, and weaving these together in a way that respects your time, attention, and energy, and respects the time, energy, and attention of others. Because let's face it, others are trying to get their work done too. And if you're a highly skilled person, entrepreneurial, high-level creator, you're surrounded by other people who are at your level too, and they need this information. So if you know someone who is struggling in these areas, make sure you pass this stuff along to them. But right now, what I want you to think about is, how can you start activating flow? Flow is a specific brain state that we refer to as alpha state. Have you ever heard of alpha state before? So what alpha state is allowing you to do is, it's not that what's called beta waves of critical thinking, solving math, consciously thinking about problems. It's not delta waves where you're in deep sleep, or theta waves when you're into deep meditation or dreaming. Alpha is, I'm going with it. I'm going with the flow. I'm going for that run. I'm in the middle of it. It's mile 8 and I'm not even thinking about it. I'm in the middle of 30 minutes of meditation, and by minute 20, you're in the zone. So right now, I want you to write down 3 activities that you do that you get into flow. It might be driving, it might be exercise, it might be writing, it might be doing payroll for your business, my friend. Think about what your flow activities are. Write them down right now, pause it. All right, hopefully you paused it. But if you didn't, pause it now and write down those 3 damn flow activities. In my life, flow includes running. It includes meditation. It includes doing this. I'm flowing, baby. Flow also might map onto your relationships. Flow is easily achieved in conversation. Flow is easily achieved when you're being challenged, when you're doing things that push you over that edge. When you're about to lift that weight for that last time, you're in a flow. You're just powering through it. And then also the mundane. You can flow with the mundane. You can make the mundane a little bit more mystical by learning flow. You can do the dishes in a flow state. You can do laundry in a flow. You can sit and relax and hang out and watch TV in a flow. By activating this flow state, you take your mind into a place where time disappears. And that's how you know when you're truly in flow, because it feels like you've just lost time. And not in the, I lost time. It's the, wow, I didn't even realize an hour just went by. When you've had such a good time, you're in it, you're having a good time, you're flowing, you're losing track of time. That's when you know that you've achieved flow. So I would be remiss if I left you without some amazing strategies to implement this high-level flow and start practicing and building this routine, this alpha state into your life today. So the first technique comes from, we borrowed it from a gentleman named Burt Goldman. And Goldman created a program known as quantum jumping. So we're not affiliated with them, we're not getting any royalties for talking about it, but it's just an amazing program that teaches you so many cool things. But one of the techniques we learned is called the Bhaga, spelled B-H-A-G-A, Bhaga. And what you do is you press your tongue into the roof of your mouth. Now, I've seen this in, called different things and attacked different ways, even in a book called Becoming a Supple Leopard, about, posture and physiology and learning how to work out better. He even recommends in that book, the author in that one, that you should, while you're doing squats and lifts, that you should press your tongue into the roof of your mouth. And what this does is it creates almost like an acupuncture point or like an acupressure point. It triggers alpha state and triggers focus, and it triggers your brain to prime towards that alpha state. And when you do this, it's like a subtle trigger in your mind. Like when the rooster crows and it's the morning, when you press your tongue into the roof of your mouth, it's a trigger to remind yourself, focus deliberately now. The next technique is, and Jim loves this one, it's a circle and a circle. So you just take a piece of paper. Here, I'll even draw it for you. Where's my marker? So you get a circle, and you draw a circle in the circle. Now, for a minute, watch the circle in the middle, and you might find how hard this is. All you're doing is keeping your attention on the circle in the middle. Now, this is a basic form of what I call meditation, which I've attached as a little MP3. You can listen to the 1 minute meditation just to get you started. If you are interested in learning more about meditation, I do create my own meditations that you can follow and that Jim makes that you can follow along with outside of this program. If you've downloaded those tracks or you got those tracks, we'll leave a link down below if you haven't gotten all of them yet. But on top of that, I also recommend checking out Sam Harris's Waking Up app. Again, not affiliated, not getting any royalties here, but Sam is an amazing individual. That meditation app has transformed my life. To date, I've used the app and I've meditated with it over 430 hours. I'm a monster, I know. But in your own life, doing the 1 minute meditation, it's just 1 minute of tracking your breath, tracking each breath coming in, coming out, coming in, coming out, and so on until you reach that 60-second mark. So these are just 3 quick strategies. Now you know what's in my pepperoni pizza pouch, and now you have all the tools you'll need to get tough on distraction, tech pacing, urgency metrics, and high level flow. These are the 3 tools that Jim and I use day in and day out to eliminate distraction in our lives. Now, if you see me on the side of the road answering text messages in an unimmediate and unessential way, you caught me red-handed. But anyway, I really appreciate you joining me in this. It's been such a pleasure creating this and getting to share this information with you. I set out years ago wondering how I can get the most out of my mind, how to learn the most about my mind. And what I came to understand years ago was that my time, my attention, and my energy are limited, most valuable resources. And yours are too. So I'm super, super grateful that you made it through this. Congratulations for understanding and having these tools now under your breath, under your belt. So get tough on distraction in your life. Get ready to double down and move forward. Much love to you. Now it's time for you to use your time, energy, and life to heal, uplift, and empower your mind, your focus, and eliminate distraction once and for all. High five, my friend. Go get it and add color to your life. I'll see you soon.